There is an island on Earth where landing is illegal. Not dangerous, not restricted, illegal. No rescue teams. Even helicopters aren't allowed to fly low. This is North Sentinel Island, and the people living here want absolutely nothing to do with us. They've lived on this island for tens of thousands of years. No electricity, no metal tools, and no immunity to our diseases. When boats get too close, they don't wave. They raise bows. In the past, researchers try to make contact. They offer gifts. The answer was always the same: arrows. In 2018, a man ignored every warning and came anyway. He believed he had a message the island needed. He never left. And what's most shocking is that no one went after him, because the law says this island must be left alone. Some places on Earth aren't unexplored. They're untouched on purpose. So let's talk about what makes this situation so strange. Because North Sentinel Island isn't hidden. It's not lost. It's not even remote by modern standards. It's 50 kilometers from Port Blair, a city with an airport, hotels, and Wi-Fi. You could literally order pizza in Port Blair, and this island would still be in the Stone Age. That's how close we're talking. The Indian Coast Guard patrols nearby waters. Helicopters fly overhead. Satellites photograph it constantly. We know exactly where it is. We just can't go there. And that drives people insane. The anthropologist's dilemma. Here's the thing about humans. We hate not knowing. We've sent robots to Mars. We've mapped the ocean floor. We've sequenced the human genome. But we can't have a conversation with people living 50 kilometers away. And anthropologists are obsessed with this place. Because the Sentinelese are potentially one of the last uncontacted peoples on Earth. Uncontacted doesn't mean they don't know we exist. They've seen boats. They've seen helicopters. They've definitely seen us. It means they've chosen not to contact us back, which is a very different thing. And scientists have so many questions. What language do they speak? What do they believe? How do they govern themselves? Do they have art? Music? Stories? We don't know. We can't know. Because the one thing we do know is that trying to find out could kill them all. The disease problem. Let's talk about why a handshake could be genocide. The Sentinelese have lived in isolation for possibly 60,000 years. That means their immune systems have never encountered influenza, measles, chickenpox, the common cold, diseases that give us a bad week, could give them total extinction. And we know this isn't theoretical because we've seen it happen. In 1875, British colonizers made contact with the people of the Andaman Islands, neighbors of the Sentinelese. Within weeks, disease outbreaks killed huge portions of the population. Tribes that had existed for millennia were wiped out by germs before they even understood what was happening. The Sentinelese watched that. They saw boats arrive. They saw their neighbors get sick. They saw entire communities disappear. And they learned a lesson. Stay away from the outsiders. So when we show up with good intentions, they don't see explorers. They see a plague ship. And honestly, they're not wrong. The British made contact and regretted it. Okay, so Britain controlled the Andaman Islands for over a century. And the whole time, they were obsessed with the Sentinelese. In the late 1800s, a British officer named Maurice Vidal Portman decided he was going to study the island. He landed with an armed group, searched the forest, found an elderly couple and some children, and kidnapped them, took them back to Port Blair. Within days, the adults got sick and died. Portman, in a moment of horrified realization, returned the children to the island, along with a pile of gifts. As if that would fix it, the children disappeared into the jungle. We have no idea what they told their people. But after that, the Sentinelese got way more hostile. Imagine that from their perspective. Étrangers arrivent. Take your family. Return some of them sick. Leave random objects on the beach. And then leave. No explanation. No apology. Just trauma. Yeah, I'd shoot arrows too. The coconut experiment. Fast forward to the 1990s. India tried a different approach. A team of anthropologists, led by T.N. Pundit, started making what they called contact expeditions. But instead of landing on the island, they'd anchor offshore in boats and try to offer gifts, mostly coconuts, because apparently the international language of peace is tropical fruit. And here's the weird part. Sometimes it worked. There were moments where Sentinelese people would wade into the water, take the coconuts, and even gesture in what seemed like acknowledgement. Not friendliness, not trust, but tolerance. For a brief moment, it seemed like maybe, a bridge could be built. Then one day in 1991, something unexpected happened. A group of Sentinelese came out to the boat, unarmed, took coconuts, made eye contact, and one of them did something no one had seen before. He laughed. The anthropologists were stunned. It felt like a breakthrough. But then, on the next visit, the Sentinelese were back to firing arrows. What changed? No one knows. Maybe there was internal disagreement on the island. Maybe they just wanted the coconuts and not the relationship. Maybe that one guy was just the island's extrovert, and everyone else voted him down. We'll never know. But India took it as a sign. This isn't working, and pushing harder could make things worse. So in 1996, they stopped. No more contact expeditions. No more coconuts. The island was left alone. Officially. Permanently. The tsunami of 2004. Then came December 26th, 2004. A massive earthquake in the Indian Ocean. A tsunami that killed over 230,000 people. The Andaman Islands were directly in the path. Entire coastal communities were obliterated. In North Sentinel Island, right in the strike zone, the Indian Coast Guard flew helicopters over the island to assess damage. They expected to see devastation. Instead, they saw a Sentinelese man standing on the beach, firing arrows at the helicopter. The island had survived, and the Sentinelese wanted everyone to know, "We're fine. Go away." Researchers think they might have oral traditions about tsunamis and earthquakes, passed down over thousands of years. They might have moved to higher ground. They might have read the signs, animals fleeing, water receding. We don't know, but they survived a disaster that destroyed modern cities, without warning systems, without infrastructure, without help, just knowledge, passed down, generation to generation. That's not primitive. That's resilient. The fishermen who got too close. In 2006, 2 Indian fishermen were fishing illegally near the island. Their boat drifted too close to shore. They didn't wake up in time. The Sentinelese killed them. The Indian government tried to recover the bodies. But every time helicopters approached, arrows flew. Eventually, they gave up. The bodies are still there. And here's the uncomfortable truth. No charges were filed. No investigation happened. Because legally, the Sentinelese have the right to defend their territory. India recognizes their sovereignty, which means those fishermen died in what was technically a foreign land. Even though it's Indian territory, it's a legal paradox, a parallel world, 50 kilometers from civilization. John Allen Chow, which brings us to 2018, and the man who thought he knew better. John Allen Chow was a 26-year-old American missionary. He believed God had called him to bring Christianity to the Sentinelese. He trained for years, learned emergency medicine, studied linguistics. He wasn't ignorant. He knew the risks. He just thought his mission was more important. In November 2018, he paid fishermen to take him near the island. He went ashore, alone, carrying a Bible and some gifts. The Sentinelese saw him, and they reacted the way they always do. A boy shot an arrow. It hit Chow's Bible. He retreated to the boat. Most people would stop there. Chow went back. The next day, this time, the Sentinelese didn't fire a warning shot. Fishermen watching from a distance saw Chow's body being dragged across the beach. They left and reported what happened. The Indian government faced international pressure to recover the body, to do something, but they didn't, because the law was clear. The island is off limits. Even for this, why we can't let go. Here's what's fascinating. The reaction to Chow's death was split. Some people said he was brave. He died for his beliefs. Others said he was reckless. He endangered an entire people. But almost everyone agreed on one thing. We want to know what happened. We want footage. We want interviews. We want closure. And we can't have it. Because the Sentinelese don't owe us an explanation. They don't owe us their story. They don't owe us anything. And that's what makes people uncomfortable. In a world where everything is documented, live streamed and monetized, North Sentinel Island is a black box, a question mark, a no. And we're not used to hearing no. Well, we think we know. So what do we know about the Sentinelese? From aerial observations and old encounters. Population, somewhere between 50 and 500 people. Technology, bows, arrows, spears, canoes. Diet, fish, wild pigs, fruits, honey. Language, unknown, completely unrelated to neighboring tribes. Social structure, unknown. Religion, unknown. History, unknown. Basically, we know they exist. That's it. And maybe that's okay. Maybe not every mystery needs solving. Maybe some doors are supposed to stay closed. The philosophy of leaving alone. There's a concept in ethics called non-interference. Star Trek fans know it as the Prime Directive. The idea is, just because you can make contact doesn't mean you should. And North Sentinel Island is maybe the only place on Earth where we've actually followed that rule. We didn't conquer it. We didn't colonize it. We didn't civilize it. We just stopped. And that's rare, because human history is full of. We came, we saw, we destroyed everything. But this time, we came, we saw, we left, not because we're saints, but because we finally learned that some things are more valuable, untouched, than understood. The future of the island. So what happens next? Probably nothing. The Indian government has made it clear. The exclusion zone stays. No contact, no research, no exceptions. And as long as that holds, the Sentinelese will keep living the way they always have. Fishing, hunting, surviving, completely unaware that they've become a symbol, a reminder that in a world obsessed with progress, connection, and growth, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is leave something alone. Final thought. North Sentinel Island isn't a mystery. It's a choice. Their choice. To stay separate. To stay unknown. To stay free. And our choice. To respect that. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's frustrating. Even when we'll never get answers. Because maybe the real lesson isn't about them. It's about us. About whether we can coexist with something we don't control, don't understand, and don't get to fix. The Sentinelese aren't stuck in the past. They're living in their present. And they've decided that's enough. The rest of the world? We're still learning to let that be okay.